Many people dealing with fatigue, brain fog, joint pain, skin flares, and autoimmune symptoms are told that their problems are unrelated. Maybe they've even seen different specialists for each symptom. A dermatologist for the skin, a rheumatologist for joint pain, a neurologist for brain fog or fatigue. But very often, these symptoms share a common root. And one of the most important places to look is the gut. Today, I want to explain something I see again and again in my practice, what I call the gut inflammation autoimmune triangle. I'm Dr. Myra Reed. I've spent decades in internal medicine and functional medicine helping patients uncover the deeper causes behind chronic symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, inflammation, autoimmune conditions. Most people think about the gut as simply a digestive organ. But the gut is actually one of the most important immune organs in the body. About 70% of the immune system lives in the gut. And the gut lining acts like an incredibly intelligent filter. It decides what is allowed to enter into our bloodstream and what should stay out. When the gut lining is healthy, nutrients from food are absorbed, vitamins and minerals enter the circulation, harmful substances stay inside the digestive tract where they belong. But when the gut lining becomes irritated or inflamed, that barrier begins to weaken. This is what many people refer to as increased intestinal permeability, sometimes called leaky gut. And when this happens, substances that normally stay in the gut can interact with the immune system. Another critical part of the gut health is something called the microbiome. The microbiome is made of trillions of bacteria living in the digestive tract. And these bacteria are not just passive passengers. They actually help regulate digestion, inflammation, immune signaling, metabolism, and even communication with the brain. In fact, many scientists now refer to the gut as the second brain because how strongly it communicates with the nervous system. When the microbiome is balanced, it helps maintain a calm and regulated immune system. But when that balance is disrupted through stress, poor diet, environmental toxins, infections, or even certain medications, the immune system can start receiving constant inflammatory signals. And here's something that surprises many people. Autoimmune conditions often don't start because the immune system just randomly decides to start attacking the body. More often, the immune system is responding to signals it's receiving repetitively. And many of these signals originate in the gut. When the gut lining becomes irritated and permeability increases, small particles from food, bacteria, or toxins can interact with the immune system. The immune system sees these signals and begins responding. Initially, this response is protective, but when the immune system keeps seeing signals again and again, it begins forming what we call immune complexes. These immune complexes circulate in the bloodstream and can deposit in different tissues throughout the body. And this is where symptoms begin appearing in places that seem unrelated to digestion. For example, in the joints, this will show up as stiffness, inflammation, swelling, pain. In the skin, it appears as rashes, eczema, or inflammatory skin conditions. In the brain, it can contribute to fatigue, brain fog, and difficulty concentrating. There is also an important connection between the gut and the blood-brain barrier. When inflammation rises in the body, it can affect how the brain communicates with the rest of the system. This is why gut inflammation often affects mental clarity and energy levels. I've seen many patients where this pattern becomes very clear. For example, I've been working with patients struggling with chronic skin rashes or eczema who have tried multiple treatments without lasting improvement. When we look deeper, we often find that the significant gut inflammation is involved. In most cases, there are also environmental triggers like mold exposure. Once we begin addressing the gut and improving digestion, supporting the microbiome, and removing those certain triggers, their skin symptoms begin improving. This can be gradual, but it's definitely meaningfully done. This is where something we see frequently with inflammatory conditions. Another piece of the puzzle that involves food sensitivities. For some individuals, certain foods can trigger the immune response when the gut lining is already irritated. Common triggers can include foods like gluten and dairy, although each person's sensitivities can be different. In sensitive individuals, this can also involve something called mast cell activation, where this is where immune cells release inflammatory chemicals in response to certain triggers. When this happens, symptoms can include things like skin flares, digestive symptoms, fatigue, headache, brain fog. So the gut environment plays a major role in the reaction of the immune system. And this is an important shift in perspective. Your body's not betraying you. It's communicating. The immune system is trying to protect you. But when the gut environment becomes inflamed or irritated, the immune system can become stuck in a cycle of chronic inflammation and activation. This is where supporting the gut can make a profound difference. Things like improving your digestion, supporting the microbiome, reducing those inflammatory triggers, addressing stress, and identifying those environmental exposures that need to be addressed. The gut is not just a digestive organ. It's a control center that influences the immune system, inflammation, and even brain function. And when we support that environment thoughtfully, we often begin to see improvements in symptoms that once seemed completely unrelated. This video is the first in a series where I'll be talking more about gut health and inflammation. In the next videos, we'll be exploring topics like why gut symptoms often persist even though when people try probiotics and diet changes, the role of stress and environmental factors in gut inflammation, and some of the most common gut imbalances I see in my practice. So if you're interested in learning more about the deeper connections between gut health, inflammation, and longevity, be sure to subscribe and follow along with this series, because understanding the gut may be the one most powerful way to support long-term health.